welcome
Hi, Noah. How's it going?
to a client interview with my wonderful client, Rocky Start. And people are always wondering what a long relationship, client relationship looks like. And especially if you've worked together from 0 to 1, where you've got an idea and you're figuring out how to make money with it. That's the 0 to 1. And then when you go from 1 to 2 or 1 to 10, when you scale it
Yeah.
up. So today we're going to talk about our long relationship doing that. And
Well, today it
so,
looks like a boat,
right, it does look like a boat is behind
but
you.
it doesn't every day.
So, in a few words, Rocky, uh, tell everyone what you did with Sofar and where were you when we met again when your business at Sofar was in a tough place.
Sure, Noah. I mean, when we met, Sofar was only really in a tough place because it was transitioning. As a company, for anyone that doesn't know, we challenged the music industry. We started doing intimate gigs in people's living rooms and not letting anyone have any influence over which artists they saw, asking people to be quiet, put their phones down, communicate. It was about a community, a network, and it was just a beautiful thing that grew on its own and was needed. I guess the thing I would say is we didn't know how to mature it as a business, and there were so many voices trying to persuade us of different routes. Be a record label, be a this, be an airline. I mean, it never ended. It never ended. It was always something. And we had to, we had to, um, this is not the moment. Again.
Yeah, you're good. I can hear you.
Okay. So we had to, at that point, make some very grown up decisions that, were not anything to do with the original hobby part of this business. They weren't even to do with the initial funding round because you know what? We thought seed capital was hard to get. And we thought a Series A was hard to get, and they are hard to get. There's proof of concept, there is having something that is visionary, there is all the challenges that as an entrepreneur you would know full well. Then there is a phase where you have to grow up and you have to show that you understand business in a different way and that you can see the route to revenue in a realistic way. And I think, Noah, that is where you stepped in and helped us in a way that I cannot think of any other person that took us from the very almost childish stage as a business we were at to a teenager to an adult.
So, how was I able to help you? What did you get from the engagement?
So I think the main thing for me, which we've talked about before, was you taking us through a very goal-led process that ended in real revenue. Now, although we had flirted with all these ideas, we had never really had a test point that was going to work for the VCs, for the investors. We didn't have anything strategic that was going to help us get through a Series B. Series A, you can get away with the vision, the concept, the game. Series B, you cannot do that. You have to start showing that you can genuinely make money. So what you brought, Noah, was twofold. It was very grounding, which is not easy as an entrepreneur that has just cracked the champagne, right? After a Series A.
Mm.
Or, you've got a few million in the bank. Great. These guys, they want you to spend it. They want you to spend it. They want to see how you spend it. They want to see how quick you spend it. And they want to see what you spend it on. And it is extremely difficult to go back for more money because this is what they want, right? They want you to go back for more money if you haven't spent it in a way that demonstrates a true business model. So what, Noah, you did, and I'm sure you remember it well. I mean, you helped us with agencies, with a logo, with really the most critical part was data. We weren't thinking about data in the way that you think about it and with the experience that you have at that time. Um, we were doing little bits and pieces to understand our consumer. But I think what you showed us was well, I know what you showed us. It was just a whole other way of looking at it, which is to be data led while building out your revenue models and let the data lead rather than your mind, your heart, your entrepreneurial, instincts.
Yeah.
That there needed to be a more grown up approach.
Yeah. Sure. What were some of the things about working with me that have been helpful in establishing that business case for the $50 million expansion and the $25 million in fundraising that you got after we launched your pilot and proved out that it was going to be successful and increasing lifetime value by 3 times is what I remember.
I remember that exactly. Yeah, the lifetime value by 3 times. I mean, I think you've answered your own question, to be honest with you. It was a different approach from anything we'd experienced before. And it was quite hard, Noah, if I'm going to be honest, because, you just want to float with the stars if you are in this space. And you think you can do anything. And there is a real need, if you want to remain creative, to also understand the mechanisms and the revenue streams and things like tripling a lifetime value of a consumer. How do you do that? I mean, without your knowledge, we would never have been able to go through that process. Now, it doesn't matter what the revenue stream is. What you taught us as a company was how to think and how to think in a way that was commercial, that was grounded, and that the venture capital or investors at this next stage or the stage after would be able to connect and relate to, because businesses, especially ones that are unusual, that don't fit the mold like Sofar, there is a big leap of faith for them. It's not easy, I mean, sometimes I wouldn't want to be in their shoes. How do you pick? Series A, all right. Series B, bit tougher. Series C starts to get really, really tough. And you put us on the path to being able to understand our own revenue streams, to be more grown up as an organization, and to be able to talk to investors in a way that made sense to them as well. Because, it's all very well to have your dream. If they had a dream, they wouldn't be investors. No offense.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, for someone that's considering hiring me or working with me, and maybe they're on the fence, maybe they're wondering, is this real? What return on investment am I going to get from this? What would you say to that person?
Well, you know what? I've thought about this a lot, Noah. I mean, look, I'm sitting in the UK in a boatyard. Um, I have a quiet life these days, although I'm about to start another company, which is going to be really exciting. Um, I would never have been able to conceptualize the revenue models of such a disorganized company in a way without the grounding that you gave it. So I'm not giving you all the credit. I'll give myself most of it and Rafe. But I don't think we could have got to our Series B, or certainly not the same numbers that we generated from our Series B without the kind of input that gave us credibility. Because people love concepts to begin with. Then they want to see a bit of money coming in. Then they want to see how you're going to triple that money, how you're going to quadruple that money, how you're going to build and build and build. Making a few dollars here and there is fine for a while. And then they're like, right, well, how are you going to turn that into $1 billion? Because that's what they want to hear. And if you don't have the kind of knowledge that comes with your data abilities, with your experience, you cannot really go to them with anything they want to hear. So, I mean, in answer to your question, I mean, it's really tough to answer, and I'll tell you why. Because this is a while ago, and I think what you have taught me is so deeply entrenched in my way of working now that it almost seems normal. And so
Awesome.
I would say to any business thinking about it, yeah, you're the real deal. The boat is real. I'm real. Sofar's real. And it's not about that. It's not about it at all. It's about the fact that you helped us to convince other people to invest in something we believed in with our hearts, but did not know how to translate necessarily with our heads.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So
Thank
every company needs Noah.
thank you
You
so
know,
much from the
for
heart.
sure.
Thank you so much from the heart, Rocky. And thank you for sharing your experience with everyone. And I look forward to supporting you in your new ventures and on your entrepreneurial journey. And have an amazing rest of your day.
Thank you, Noah, so much. Always good to chat.